Greetings and welcome to the World Wide Well. My name is David Householder, and I am blessed to be your Bible teacher. And as I move into the last few decades of my earthly life, I take stock of whether or not I've done what God sent me here to do. Now, we all do that to some extent if we're reflective and intentional people and don't just go skateboarding through life and actually think about it once in a while. One of the great Greek philosophers once said, an unexamined life is not worth living. And there's something to that. And so we have to ask ourselves, if I'm a power tool or a tool made by God to do a certain task, did I do that task? Some of us are skill saws, some of us are sanders, some of us are the drill press, whatever. So we're different. We're different tools. We're designed to do different things. And that is one of the big questions of life is, did I do what God sent me here to do? If you believe that life has meaning at all, and I do, I believe that life has meaning, and I believe that we're here for a reason. And if you don't believe that, well, then it doesn't matter what you do. But for those of us who do believe that life has a purpose and we're here for a reason, it's good to ask the question, are we fulfilling that purpose? Well, the story of the conquest of Canaan, of the people of Israel, when they came out of Egypt and they crossed the Red Sea, they got the Ten Commandments, and then they wandered for 40 years in the wilderness, and finally they crossed the Jordan River. And before they crossed the Jordan River, the Lord said to them in Exodus chapter 23, "Behold, I send an angel before you to guard you on the way and bring you to the place that I have prepared, the promised land." Now, that promised land is a real place. You can go there now today because it tells you exactly where it is. But it also is symbolic for your promised land and my promised land, and whether or not we go in to inhabit it and to conquer it. And we have to conquer certain things in our lives, those things that press against our purpose. And winning is not the main thing, it's the only thing. Do we fully receive all that God has promised in our lives? Well, to this day, Israel has never fully occupied the land. There's always been contested stuff in the Old Testament. That's nothing new. And it says here, "You shall not bow down to the gods of the people that you're driving out, and you will not serve them, nor do as they do." And what he's saying here is that we are to remain focused on the one God of creation. And that's the God we call the God of the Bible. There's one creation, and it stands to reason there's one creator and one designer. And that being the case, stick with the designer, stick with the creator, because he designed us. And if we get off track and God gets fragmented into lots of pieces, and there's lots of gods all over the place, even though really there's only one God in reality. But if we start living as if there are many gods fragmented, then we have less momentum and less focus to achieve our purpose. So the promised land is sort of a parable in a way. It's very real also. It's a historical place. But it's also a parable about our lives. The Bible is God speaking to us. And are we fully crossing that Jordan? And are we fully inhabiting the land and receiving all that God has for us? And that entails some struggle. We have to push out some other things, that fragmented sense, that sense of serving lots of different masters and all of that. And so that's the idea behind one God, one creation. Are we staying focused on the one who brought us here? That's really key. And it says here in verse 29, "I will not drive them out before you in 1 year, lest the land become desolate and the wild beasts multiply against you. Little by little I will drive them out from before you." Little by little. And it's still happening to this day. Little by little, Israel is occupying its geographical promise. And little by little, we fulfill our promise. And we get frustrated when it doesn't happen all at once. But the truth is, this is a lifelong journey. And if we're still living, that means we still have promises to receive. And so I just want to encourage you, if you're discouraged by not fulfilling, you feel like you haven't done what God sent you here to do. If you're discouraged by that, sort of a spiritual midlife crisis, did I really get done what God wanted me to do? Did I live the right life? Or did I live the wrong life? if you're discouraged about that, be encouraged that even the Bible here says this is a process. And sometimes God has us receive these promises gradually, one at a time, so they don't overwhelm us. And if we were to receive all the promises at once, it says here the wild animals would take over, and we wouldn't be able to manage that. Sometimes it's best if we learn one thing at a time. So focus on that one thing God is teaching you now, and let that be the thing that you focus on as you take more and more of the promised land, God's purpose for your life. That's the good news. Don't be discouraged. Be encouraged that it's taking a while. That means there's still land to take. Take care, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow.